Quite often, we end up with electronics that are no longer relevant. You can't really sell them, but at the same time, it feels wrong to just throw them away. And I had exactly the same situation. A whole box of unused electronics. From that pile, I took an old Android phone, found a Bluetooth speaker that I no longer use, and also a magnetic wireless charger that is quite inconvenient to use, simply because it doesn't have a proper mount. So today, using all of this, I'm going to try and build a simple home assistant with artificial intelligence support. As a base, I took my old Xiaomi Mi 8. It's about 8 years old now. The speakers are clogged with dirt, the display is burned in, and the battery has almost completely lost its capacity. As for the wireless charger, it's not essential, more like a nice and convenient bonus for this multimedia station. For better sound quality, I'll be using an old portable Bluetooth speaker. It also has a dead battery, but it's still fully functional, and it even has LED lighting, which I can reuse as well. Since everything will be placed inside a single frame, I first need to disassemble the speaker and measure all of its internal components so I can properly integrate them into the new enclosure. For now, everything is ready to start designing the case of my multimedia station. I had 3 different ideas for the design. The first one was to make the assistant look like an old Apple all-in-one computer. The second idea was to build it as some kind of robot, which makes sense since I'm planning to talk to it. And the third option was to make it look like a vintage television. After comparing all 3, I decided to go with the last option. It simply looked the most interesting, and it would fit nicely on a desk. Now that the design idea is clear, it's time to turn it into a full 3D model. First, I created a frame that matches the size of the phone's display, including cutouts for the camera and sensors, so everything like auto brightness would still work properly. I also added a mounting system to securely hold the phone in place. Next, based on the size of the speaker, I designed the front panel in a vintage TV style, including a mount for the speaker and control elements for the Bluetooth module. Once the front panel was done, I moved on to the back cover. I added decorative side grills and a recessed area on top for the wireless charger. Inside, I also included space for the speaker battery, as well as openings for switches and power cables. The LED lighting from the speaker turned out to be useful too, so I designed a dedicated spot for it at the bottom of the case. And to complete the vintage TV look, I added 4 small legs in a retro style. Now the case is fully designed. The only thing left is to bring it from the virtual world into the real one using a 3D printer. Before assembling everything, the phone needs to be configured. Here, you can customize it however you like. Android gives you that flexibility. For example, I installed a nice clock screensaver for when the station is idle. To make the interface work in landscape mode, I installed a third-party launcher, since the default Xiaomi interface doesn't support that. It's also important to install all Google services, especially Google Home, for smart home control. Here, I connected my devices that support Wi-Fi and remote control. The list of supported apps is huge, so almost any smart device can be connected without issues. For example, I connected my robot vacuum and desk lighting, which can now be controlled by voice. As the main assistant, I installed Gemini, since it works together with Google Assistant. So in the Google app settings, you need to select Gemini as your default assistant. Other than that, you can fine-tune everything however you like. There are a lot of settings, so I won't go into too much detail. The only thing I would highlight is the Routines section. If you understand how it works, you can trigger entire sequences of actions with a single phrase. For example, when I say, "Let's talk," it opens Gemini Live so I can have a conversation with the AI.
Let's talk. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks for asking. Just here, ready to help with whatever you need. How about you?
So, with the setup done, it's time to move on to assembly. First, I installed threaded inserts into the front panel so both halves of the case can be securely connected. Then I took the back panel and the wireless charger. I cut the cable, routed it through a dedicated hole, and fixed the module in place using a bit of glue. The charger slightly protrudes because the top surface is flat, and otherwise the phone's camera bump would prevent proper alignment. Next, I extended the wires for the LED lighting, since the original length wasn't enough for my layout. Now let's move on to the Bluetooth speaker board. This cheap speaker produces noise while charging, and since I need it to stay powered constantly, I added a separate charging module for a 18650 battery. This solves the problem. I soldered 2 wires to the battery input, then connected them to the board output, making sure to keep the correct polarity. I also connected the 18650 battery to the appropriate terminals. It's easy to figure out, since the board has clear markings. After testing it via Type-C, everything worked perfectly. No more background noise. Before assembling everything inside, I installed the legs. They are mounted with screws, so I also added threaded inserts there. It actually looks pretty nice. Since I have 3 power consumers, I decided to use 2 cables for now, one for the wireless charger and one for the phone and Bluetooth module. I don't have the proper module to combine everything into a single cable yet, but I'll fix that in the future. For now, this is just a test setup. So, I soldered the wireless charger cable back together, but routed the ground line through a switch, and the second one turns off power to the phone and audio amplifier. I did the same with the second cable. Then I added extra wires to power the phone and connected everything directly to the charging module instead of using Type-C. Yes, I know this isn't the most correct way to do it, but after some time of testing, I can say it works reliably. Finally, I added a Type-C connector to power the phone. At this point, the electronics assembly is complete. I secured the wires with zip ties, mounted the charging module, installed the LED diffuser, and surprisingly, everything looks quite clean. I also fixed the LED module using hot glue, since I forgot to design proper mounting. To make the inside look better, I designed and printed a small decorative panel. Next, I installed the decorative grills. They fit tightly, so they hold in place, but I still added some glue just in case. Now on to the front panel assembly. I installed and secured the speaker, added the control buttons, and mounted the amplifier module, making sure everything remains functional. I connected the LED lighting and the speaker, and also installed a decorative knob. Right now it doesn't do anything, but I'll show what I connected it to later. The final step is placing the phone precisely into its position. The key is to align it perfectly with the frame. To do this, I positioned the phone exactly how I wanted, then applied hot glue to fix it in place. After that, I used double-sided tape and secured the mounting bracket. Then I inserted the frame into the front panel, connected the phone to power, turned on the Bluetooth module, and assembled everything together. And I would love to say that everything is done, but there's one problem. During testing, I found out that the Bluetooth module turns off after 20 minutes of inactivity. This behavior is built into the controller, so it can't be changed. To turn it back on, you would need to open the case and press the button, which is obviously not convenient. So I solved it in a different way. To keep the speaker always active, I added a sound generator. Through testing, I found the minimum frequency that prevents shutdown, around 6 Hz. At the same time, I set the volume to 26% and left it running in the background. Interestingly, the module detects the signal and stays active, but it can't actually reproduce 6 Hz, so there is no audible noise. Just in case something goes wrong and the generator stops, I added a simple mechanical switch using the decorative knob. Now I can turn the amplifier on and off without opening the case. I also printed a thin cover for the wireless charger to match the overall design. It looks much better now. And now, after testing, I can finally say, this DIY smart station made from junk is fully complete. Quick overview. On the front panel, I can change the LED lighting modes or turn it off with a long press. With the rest of the Bluetooth module buttons, I can control the volume, skip tracks or videos, and pause or resume playback whenever I need. The knob allows me to turn the amplifier on and off. On the back, there are two switches. One controls the wireless charging, and the other controls power to the phone and amplifier. As for the AI assistant, it can do pretty much everything. Play music, search and play videos, open apps, set reminders, timers, alarms, adjust volume, control smart home devices.
Please clean my room.
Starting the cleanup. I've started the vacuum cleaner to clean your room.
Turn on LED strip.
Turning on the smart LED strip.
Please turn on red color in my LED strip.
Turning smart LED strip on and setting it to red.
And execute routines. For example, when I say, "Let's talk," it opens Gemini Live and I can have a real-time conversation with AI in different languages.
Ти говориш українською?
Так, я трохи говорю українською.
Ты говоришь на русском?
Да, конечно. Я понимаю русский язык и могу на нем общаться.
Чи potrafić mówić po polsku?
Так, potrafię mówić po polsku.
你会说一句语吗？
小朋友你好，我没有名字。
And on top of that, it's also just a stylish clock with built-in wireless charging. It's pretty amazing how a pile of useless electronics can turn into a device that you actually use every day.
Hey Google, I want to relax.
Subscribe to the HANDMAX workshop channel, hit the like button, and leave your comments.